Hello, and thank you for joining the May Boston Redevelopment Authority Board meeting. At this time, the Boston Planning and Development Agency is continuing to host public meetings in a virtual setting for the health, safety, and accessibility of Boston residents. For more information and updates, visit bostonplans.org. The Open Public Meeting Law requires that I notify the public that this meeting is being recorded. Please be aware that an audio and visual recording of this meeting is being made and broadcast by Boston City TV, which is a part of the City of Boston Office of Cable Communications at Xfinity Channel 24, RCN Channel 13, and Verizon Fios Channel 962. It is also being live streamed at boston.gov/cable. I will now take a roll call of the members to begin this meeting. Ms. Downs.
Present.
Mr. Monahan.
Present.
Dr. Landsmark.
Present.
Mr. Miller.
Present.
And I, Priscilla Rojas, am present. So the first item is we are going to enter into an executive session pursuant to MGLC 30A, Chapter 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions for negotiations with James Arthur Jemison. I would like to make a motion to enter into executive session.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. We will now enter into executive session and resume at the conclusion of the executive session, we'll resume the regular Boston Redevelopment Authority meeting. Thank you.
Great. Let's take a minute for everyone to log off.
Hello, and thank you. We are now resuming the Boston Redevelopment Authority meeting at this time. So, starting with agenda item number 1, approval of the appointment of James Arthur Jemison as the Director of the Boston Redevelopment Authority. Heather.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. For your consideration this afternoon is the approval of the appointment of James Arthur Jemison as Agency Director, effective May 23rd, 2022. This appointment is unique from previous director appointments in that it will reflect a non-compensated position within the BPDA and a dual appointment with the City of Boston. This appointment before you includes the following provisions, which I will list briefly. Mr. Jemison is being hired by the City of Boston as the Chief of Planning. Mr. Jemison will file the appropriate disclosures with his respective appointing authorities. The agency and the City of Boston shall enter into a mutually agreeable cooperation agreement regarding his dual appointment of the Chief of Planning and Agency Director. And lastly, the agency and Mr. Jemison shall enter into a mutually agreeable appointment agreement regarding his uncompensated position as Agency Director, for which he would receive no salary, benefits, per diem reimbursements, or other payments, or retirement-related credible service from the agency. We are also requesting that the chair of the board be authorized to enter into a cooperation agreement, appointment agreement, and any and all other documents and agreements necessary and appropriate to the appointment of the agency director. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Heather. Do we have any comments from the board? Okay, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So great. On behalf of the board and the City of Boston, I would like to congratulate and to welcome back to Boston and to the agency Director Jemison. With this appointment, our city will benefit from a dynamic, creative, public-private development leader with 28 years of planning and affordable housing expertise, working with community members to create equitable spaces in Detroit, Michigan, Washington, D.C., and Boston, Massachusetts. Most recently, Mr. Jemison served as Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, where he led the Office of Community Planning and Development, and served as the policy lead and HUD partner for American cities, counties, states, and other local units of government. Prior to working for HUD, Mr. Jemison served as the group executive for planning, housing, and development in the city of Detroit. Earlier in his career, he served as Deputy Undersecretary and Deputy Director for the Department of Housing and Community Development for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Director Jemison comes to us with a Bachelor's of Arts degree, cum laude, in social thought and political economy from the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. He also holds a Master of City Planning degree from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where he was a Public Policy and International Affairs Fellow. Whew, quite the career, Director Jemison. I'd first like to thank you so much for your prior service to the city and state, where you served the residents of Boston, particularly Roxbury, and all of Massachusetts during your tenure at the Boston Redevelopment Authority, Boston Housing Authority, Massport Authority, and the Commonwealth Department of Housing and Community Development. And secondly, I'd like to commend your commitment to your craft in building the expertise needed to navigate this complex and multifaceted challenges that come with creating public-private partnerships to build an equitable place to live, work, and connect, both today and for generations to come. We are honored and look forward to your leadership here at the BPDA. So again, welcome and congratulations. And now, Director Jemison, the floor is yours if you'd like to make some remarks.
Well, thank you very much for that very full introduction. I very much appreciate it, and I really want to thank the members of this board for their confidence in me to carry forward the work that you've been doing for the city for the last few years. Again, I want to thank each of the board members. I know this has been somewhat unusual in some ways, but I really appreciate your forbearance. The board and the team at the BPDA have done so much over the past several years to improve the way that planning and development is done in the city, and you've given me a great platform to build from. I can't wait to work together with you. I know that there's an exceptionally talented team of dedicated professionals at the agency. I had a chance to work with some of them before, and I'm excited about working with them going forward. I've started doing listening tours with them over the past few weeks, and have heard some great ideas about how to better deliver on the mission, reach people, and ultimately better serve the people of the city that need, the people who need us most. When Mayor Wu asked me to take this position, she was clear she wanted to elevate planning and integrate it with other city departments. The dual role that was just spoken of will allow me to elevate and coordinate planning across city departments. There'll be plenty of time in the weeks ahead for me to more fully introduce myself, but I want to keep this very short, knowing that executive session ran a little long. But I wanted to say a few words to different key folks. To the board and staff of the BPDA, I'd like you to know that while changes may be coming and recognizing that they will happen over time, the many day-to-day functions of planning and development in this city are only possible because of your hard work and dedication. And I want to thank you for all your efforts, especially through the pandemic and the recent transitions. And I'm very excited to be working with you. To the development community and the business community of the city, I just want to say that the work you do continues to be the backbone of the city's economy. I want to work with you to make the work you do more predictable, through thoughtful community-based planning that shares the benefits of development equitably across the city. And of course, most importantly, the people at the center here are Bostonians and the many communities of the city that we will be serving. I want to say that under my leadership, I'm hoping to work with you to shape an agency that's building trust through genuine dialogue and helps create a better and brighter future for everyone. Looking forward to doing all of this with you, and I just can't wait to get started on the 23rd. Thank you so much for your time, attention, and patience today.
Thank you, Director Jemison. Okay, moving on to the next item. Agenda item number 2, request authorization for the approval of the minutes of April 14th, 2022 meeting. A motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 3, request authorization to schedule a public hearing on June 16th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. or at a date and time deemed appropriate by the director to consider the third amendment to the second amended and restated development plan for planned development area number 69, South Boston, the 100 acres located at 49, 51, and 63 Melcher Street in Boston. A motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 4, request authorization to schedule a public hearing on June 16th, 2022 at 5:40 p.m. or at such a time and date deemed appropriate by the director to consider the proposed St. Elizabeth's Medical Center 2022 through 2026 institutional master plan. A motion is in order.
So moved. So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 5, Board of Appeal. Brian.
Thank you, Chairwoman Rojas, Secretary Palhimas, members of the board. I'm Brian Glasscock, Deputy Director for Regulatory Planning and Zoning at the BPDA. We have before you 49 zoning petitions for the Zoning Board of Appeal scheduled for hearings on May 19th, May 24th, and June 7th for your recommendation.
Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
All right, item number 6, request authorization to enter into a license agreement with Boston Real Estate Collaborative LLC for the use of 2,100 square feet of land located at 15 through 21 East Lenox Street in Roxbury for vehicle parking and construction laydown during the construction of the One Newcomb Place residential development in Roxbury. Lauren.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. 15 to 21 East Lenox Street is currently licensed for temporary off-street parking to Boston Real Estate Collaborative LLC, REC, who have additionally modified it to allow access to their One Newcomb Place development project. One Newcomb Place received Article 80E approval from the BPDA in May 2017 and is expected to be complete by spring 2023. The license with REC was approved at the April 2020 board meeting and will expire May 31st, 2022. The term we're requesting for this amendment will be for 1 year commencing June 1st, 2022, and it includes 2 optional 1-year terms granted at the discretion of the BPDA. Additionally, this amendment includes a change of use which allows REC to utilize the site for construction laydown and logistics. The fee for the site will be $3,000 per month. In the event any option term is excised, rent will increase by a minimum of 5%. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Lauren. Okay, item number 7. Request authorization to enter into architecture and engineering services contracts with 19 firms for house doctor, architectural and engineering services on an as-needed basis for BRA-owned properties for 3 years in an amount not to exceed $250,000 per year. William.
Thank you and good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. William Epperson, Deputy Director of Capital Construction. The matter before you today is for a series of architectural and engineering design contracts as part of the agency's House Doctor program. The matter was last before you at the November 2021 board meeting to request authorization to solicit qualifications for these contracts. This is a joint procurement with the EDIC acting as the lead jurisdiction on behalf of the BRA. So this matter also appears on the EDIC agenda later this evening. The presentation will be the same. As you may recall, the BPDA, like other city and state agencies, utilizes as-needed architectural and engineering contracts known as the House Doctor contracts to efficiently and effectively support the repair, maintenance, and improvement of certain BPDA-owned properties. The BPDA issued a formal request for qualifications in accordance with the agency's designer selection policy on November 18th of 2021. The process included outreach to disadvantaged firms, with 137 interested parties downloading our RFP. 43 qualification packages from 22 individual firms were submitted in response to the solicitation on March of this year. A designer selection committee was assembled to review each of these qualifications and experience packages. And based on that review, the committee unanimously recommends contracts be awarded to the 19 firms across the 13 categories of service. Those firms are listed in the memo. I'm happy to rattle them off if you wish. Of those 19 firms, 7 are certified disadvantaged businesses. These will be 3-year contracts with an aggregate program contract amount over the 2 agencies for $1.2 million over the course of the 3 years. It'll be administered through a work order process that is collaboratively managed by the real estate and the finance departments. Funding for the program will come from the agency's fiscal year 22 through 25 operating budgets. And with that, we are requesting that the director be authorized to enter into these 19 House Doctor contracts. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from the board?
Of the 13 disadvantaged firms that are a part of this group, are any new to work with the agency?
There are 7 disadvantaged firms who are receiving contracts as part of this program. And off the top of my head, I know that some were repeat customers, but we did have 1 or 2 new firms that we had not done business with. I don't have their names in front of me, but I'm happy to follow up with a memo with those firms if you're interested.
Thank you.
Yeah. Additional questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark,
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye, motion passes. Item number 8, request authorization to execute an engineering design services contract with Foth Infrastructure and Environment LLC for the Long Wharf East Seawall Rehabilitation Project in the Central Wharf District downtown waterfront in an amount not to exceed $419,350. William.
Thank you again. This matter was last before you at the December 2021 board meeting to request authorization to solicit qualifications and fees for this work. As you may recall, the 170-year-old granite block seawall has gone through several reinforcements over the past decade. Most recently, we completed in 2021 along the south face a reinforcement which included installation of a concrete buttress below the water to hold back the granite seawall, which is starting to settle just a little bit. This particular contract seeks to continue that work around the corner to the east face, which faces the harbor. We have some settlement and some displaced granite blocks that we would like to address. This engineering contract will develop design alternatives, secure all necessary permitting, and prepare construction bid documents to repair and reinforce the existing granite block seawall. Plans and specifications would be prepared in accordance with Chapter 3039M of the Massachusetts General Laws, and the contract would include permitting, bidding assistance, resident engineering services, and construction administration. The agency issued a formal request for proposals in accordance with the designer selection policy on March 14th of this year. The process included outreach to disadvantaged firms. 67 interested parties downloaded the RFP. 6 firms submitted proposals in response to the solicitation on April of this year. They were Childs Engineering, Collins Engineers, Foth Engineers, GEI Consultants, GZA, Geo Environmental, and PAR Corporation. A designer selection committee was assembled to review each of the submitting team's qualifications, experience, and proposed fee. Based on that review, the committee unanimously recommended the engineering contract be awarded to Foth Infrastructure and Environment LLC. Foth has extensive experience with this type of maritime engineering, and specifically, they were our engineer of record for the project that I mentioned earlier that we just completed along the south face. The total contract award is for $419,350. We are recommending authorization of a 10% design contingency. That would be in the amount of $41,935. Total authorization being $461,285, which has been appropriately budgeted for in the FY22 capital budget. So with that, we're asking authorization to enter into the contract with Foth Infrastructure and Environment LLC for this project. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, hearing and seeing none, motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Item number 9, request authorization to execute a construction contract with Coastal Marine Construction LLC for the purposes of pile repair at Pier 4 in the Charlestown Navy Yard, Charlestown, in an amount not to exceed $9,046,524. William.
Thank you again. This matter was last before you last month. I apologize I was not able to present it personally. I was away on vacation with my family. Given the urgent nature, we're back seeking authorization to contract for these repairs. As you likely recall, we have the 1957 pier structure in Charlestown Navy Yard, Pier 4. It was built with steel pipe piles filled in with unreinforced concrete. Over the past 65 years, those steel pipe piles have corroded, as steel does in salt water, and we are putting the pier at risk for sideways collapse. We're able to keep the pier open for pedestrian access for the time being, but we do need to act quickly to reinforce the piles to preserve the pier. As the board authorized, the engineering firm GEI Consultants prepared construction bid documents in compliance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 3039M. The work includes constructing what are known as jackets around the piles. It's a steel reinforced concrete jacket that goes around the deteriorated pile. First, we will address the lateral instability by jacketing all 77 of the anchored batter piles. These are what give the pier its horizontal strength, which is currently compromised. Then once that's done, we'll address the overall integrity of the pier by jacketing 2/3 of the vertical plumb piles, which provide the pier with its vertical strength. And given that the pier is no longer needed for military uses, we will only be reinforcing 330 of the original 490 plumb piles to save a few bucks. Concurrent with last month's authorization, the project was competitively bid in accordance with 3039M of the Massachusetts General Laws. 45 interested parties downloaded the bid documents. 6 bids were opened and read aloud on May 5th. The lowest eligible and responsible bidder was Coastal Marine Construction, who is a certified WBP, in the amount of $9,046,524. All documents required by the bid laws and the invitation for bids were properly submitted by the contractor. GEI, the engineer of record who produced the bid documents, has reviewed the submitted bids and recommends award to Coastal as the lowest eligible and qualified bidder. Total contract amount, again, $9,046,524, but we are also recommending a 10% contingency in the amount of $904,652.40. So the total authorization would be for $9,951,176.40. The work will be funded from the agency's FY22 and FY23 capital budget. And if approved, we will be starting work very quickly in early June, and the work would continue through spring of next year. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take those at this time.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? All right, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Item number 10, request authorization to execute a contract with ABM Industry Groups LLC for janitorial cleaning and maintenance services at the China Trade Center located at 2 Boylston Street in an amount not to exceed $250,000. Lauren.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. I'm requesting your authorization to execute a contract with ABM Industry Groups LLC for janitorial cleaning and maintenance services at the China Trade Center. They will clean and maintain the common areas, windows, and some tenant areas. As authorized by the board, the BPDA publicly solicited bids for the provision of these services. Following termination of a prior contract, we received a total of 15 bids, including 4 from certified NWBEs. After reviewing the minimum quality requirements, staff advises ABM Industry Group LLC is the responsible and responsive bidder with the lowest total bid price. The contract term will be 1 year with 2 options to renew and a cost not to exceed $250,000 annually. Thank you for your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
I have a quick question, Madam Chair.
Please.
Do you ever consider like making those city employees or the EDIC to rather than sub it out to a contractor, make them employees now?
The employees, as far as I'm aware, the maintenance crew here does some work over there, but we're trying to maintain a Class B building, and it takes a little bit more time and dedication than a 24-hour responsibility. Right now, it's also managed by our management company, Colliers, and I think that it's best to have a private organization not be in charge of our union staff.
Got it.
Additional questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, item number 11, request authorization to award tentative designation status to Windale Developers Incorporated for redevelopment of 12 BPDA-owned parcels through the Neighborhood Homes Initiative located at Holworthy and Hollander Street in the Washington Park Urban Renewal Area, project number Mass R-24, for the construction of 23 residential new units, including 3 single-family homes, 8 side-by-side townhomes, 2 two-family homes, and 16 home ownership affordable units, and to take all related actions. Jonathan.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. I'm here today to request that the board adopts the resolution to give tentative designation to Windale Developers Incorporated for the redevelopment of 12 BPDA parcels in the Washington Park Urban Renewal Area. The 12 parcels that I've just mentioned, which you can see on the screen, consist of 75,216 square feet of discontinuous vacant land that borders Holworthy Street and or Hollander Street to the north and south, and are surrounded on the east and west by either apartments, triple deckers, or single family homes. These parcels are the next phase of the Garrison Trotter redevelopment plan, which was created through a continued partnership between the BPDA and the Mayor's Office of Housing, formerly known as the Department of Neighborhood Development. The plan consists of offering residential land for redevelopment in the Garrison Trotter community through the Mayor's Office of Housing's Neighborhood Homes Initiative program. In collaboration with the Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association, this partnership has already resulted in the redevelopment of 107,516 square feet of land, which now has 18 homes comprised of 29 units, of which 2/3 are income-restricted affordable housing. The Mayor's Office of Housing attended the Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association's monthly meetings held on June 6, 2019, September 8, 2019, February 14, 2021, and November 4, 2021, to discuss the development plan, design criteria, and the development of this request for proposal. Those meetings created this phase of the development plan, which now sees the construction of 23 new units made up of 3 single-family homes, 8 side-by-side townhomes, 2 two-family homes, and 2 two-family homes. Of those 23 units, 16 will be for affordable home ownership, 5 will be market rate ownership, and 2 will be market rate rental units. The affordable homes are evenly distributed between 80% AMI and 100% AMI. The BPDA jointly issued the RFP with the Mayor's Office of Housing on December 8, 2021, with proposals due February 8, 2022. 5 proposals were received and evaluated by members of the BPDA and Mayor's Office of Housing. The evaluation criteria reviewed the developer's experience and capacity, design and construction outcomes, development budget, financial capacity, development schedule, and their diversity and inclusion plans. The evaluation committee determined that Wendell won outright in 3 of the 6 criteria and tied in diversity and inclusion, which led to the developer being the committee's recommended choice to the Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association. The association agreed with the committee's decision and voted in favor of Wendell Developers Inc. to be the redeveloper of these 12 parcels. Based on the vote of confidence from the Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association, the vote of approval from the Mayor's Office of Housing staff, and the vote of approval from the BPDA staff, I recommend that the board vote to award tentative designation status to Wendell Development Inc. for the redevelopment of 12 BPDA parcels located in the Roxbury neighborhood of the city of Boston. I am joined here today by Arnold Johnson, president of Wendell, George Chin, vice president of Wendell, John Furbank, and Ann Conway from the Mayor's Office of Housing as well. And I will now hand it over to Arnold to give a presentation on this project. Thank you.
Arnold, you need to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Jonathan. Good afternoon, board. This is Jonathan. Are you going to operate the slides?
I believe all you have to do is just ask for the next slide to.
Okay, all right, next slide. I want to tell you a little bit of history about the Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association and Neighborhood Homes. We started developing and renovating the homes about 25 years ago. The first phase came on Hollander Street, 15 units of abandoned modular homes that was fixed up, but it was in tough shape. The next was the next slide, please. The next was the 14 units of affordable home ownership. And these are the 2 families. These pictures were taken a few days ago, and these homes are in immaculate shape, developed with the best material, hardwood floors, ceramic tile, front and rear porches, nice landscape. The bottom right house was awarded Silver Award in the National Association of Home Builders contest in 2001. Next slide, please. The next one is Garrison Trotter 2. These homes were completed in 2018. They consist of 18 units of new construction completed, and they're have excellent curb appeal. Next slide, please. So the new development is, like Jonathan said, a total of 23 new units consisting of three single families, 3 single-family homes, 8 side-by-side townhouses, 16 home ownership units, and 2 two-families with 2 rentals. 16 home ownership units will be affordable, evenly distributed between 80% AMI and 100% AMI. 5 ownership and 2 rental units will be market rate. Next slide, please. These are this is the site plan for the units on Harold Street, Howellworthy, and Hollander. Next slide, please. These are some of the elevations that are going to be existing in the Garrison Trotter 4. The left is a 2-family townhouse, and the right is a 2-family. Next slide. More elevations. Next slide. More elevations. The left is a single family, and the right is another 2-family. Next slide. Okay, so this is Wendell's is a minority-owned business between myself and George Chin. We've been partners for over 30 years. We're right on Humboldt Ave, 95, 97, and 99 Humboldt Ave. We've been there since 1994. We are a true member of the community, a true member of Garrison Trotter. Like I explained before, we did each of the previous 3 phases, the 15 unit, the 14 unit, and the 18 units. And this will be a 23 unit. Some of the things that are listed here, how we utilize the state directory and to incorporate MBEs, WBEs, and veterans. I think we have some of the highest rates of MBE and WBE and worker participation in probably in the state. All of the previous Garrison Trotter complexes or projects have gone 90% of MBEs, 90% of workers of color, and we had that consistently for 30 years. So I'm going to open it up for questions if there's any questions about the proposed project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does that conclude the presentation?
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So questions or comments from the board?
Thank you for your great work.
Agree. I just want to echo that, and it's great to see the longevity and quality of work that you have done for Boston. So very excited to see you continue that work.
Thank you very much.
Additional questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item number 12. These are certificates of completion. So request authorization to issue a certificate of completion for the successful completion of construction of the 1 Court Street Residence Hall at Suffolk University. A motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 13, request authorization to issue a certificate of completion for the successful completion of the 20 Somerset Street Academic Building at Suffolk University. A motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsberg?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 13, request authorization to issue a certificate of completion for the successful completion of the residential project located at 25 Armory Street in Jamaica Plain. A motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsberg?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Okay, moving on to urban renewal section. Item number 15, request authorization to ratify and confirm changes to the BRA promissory note and the composition of unit mix for the Zelma Lacey House located at 9 West School Street and known as parcel R-2A-2 in the Charlestown Urban Renewal Plan area, project number Mass R-55. Chris.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Executive Director Polhemus. I'm Chris Breen, Urban Renewal Manager. I am here before you to provide an update regarding the Zelma Lacey House project located at 9 West School Street in Charlestown, as you stated. And as you may recall, the Zelma Lacey House was a project that originally opened its doors way back in 2004 as an assisted living home consisting of 66 units, of which 50% were income restricted. Over the last 4 years, the facility has been operating at $1 million deficit due to high vacancy and high operating costs, and was likely to shutter its doors in short time. Back in September of 2021, the BPDA board approved a change to this project to allow for the conversion of the building to an all-affordable elderly facility consisting of 48 income-restricted units for related senior living into perpetuity, with all construction to remain internal to the building. The update today is to inform the board that at the closing, due to the requirements of the HUD risk share regulations, the promissory note and the maturity date had to be slightly tweaked. In addition, there was also a minor change to the composition of the unit mix to be consistent with what other agencies were requiring, such as Mass Housing, DHCD, and the Mayor's Office of Housing. The subordinate debt from the Mayor's Office of Housing, DHCD, and Mass Housing had to be amended for the project to be financed by an allocation of federal and state low-income housing tax credits and other sources. But the project is still to remain all affordable, and the Mayor's Office of Housing, DHCD, and Mass Housing are excited to see the project move forward. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions or comments from the board? Makes sense. Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsberg?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 16, request authorization to issue 2 certificates of completion in connection with the redevelopment of parcel R-23B and parcel R-23B-1 in the Charlestown Urban Renewal Area, project number Mass R-55, located at 34 and 36 Belmont Street in Charlestown, and pursuant to the Second Amendment to a land disposition agreement by and between the BRA and Brian Hickey and Mary Hickey, and the land disposition agreement by and between the BRA. Oh yeah, I just said that. Brian Hickey and Mary Hickey. So, Chris.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Chris Breen, Urban Renewal Manager. Again, I am here before you to let you know that the BPDA staff completed an inspection on May 2nd of both a single-family house located at 36 Belmont Street and a 2-family home located at 34 Belmont Street in Charlestown. And both were constructed substantially according to the submitted plans and reflect the agreed-upon terms of the land disposition agreement. Let me know if you have any other questions. We are recommending the issuance of certificate of completion. Thank you.
Okay, questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 17, request authorization to adopt a minor modification for the creation of parcel R-11D-2A and to enter into land disposition agreement with Judy Tibbetts of a single-family townhouse located at 6 Kelly Court in the Charlestown Urban Renewal Area, project number Mass R-55. Chris.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Chris Breen, Urban Renewal Manager. Before you is a request to vote on a minor modification that sets new building and land use requirements that are in line with the existing zoning for a new parcel known as R11D-2A. This parcel is a subdivision of the larger R11D-2. The new parcel is being subdivided by a lifelong resident of Charlestown and the owner of the larger R11D-2 for over 40 years, Judy Tibbetts. The new parcel will be used to build a single-family townhouse in the rear of the property. That property is known as 46 Cook Street. The new property will be known as 6 Kelly Court. It'll be fronted on 6 Kelly Court, and this process has gone through its zoning board of appeals, and it's obtained all its variances with support from the mayor's office. We held an additional meeting to discuss the minor modification and the request to enter into a land disposition agreement for this single-family use about a month ago, and we heard no opposition. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Chris. Okay. Item number 18. Request authorization to issue a determination waiving further review of Section 80A-6 of the Code in connection with the Notice of Project Change for the 2085 Washington Street Parcel 10 project in Nubian Square and Roxbury neighborhood for the construction of 96 residential units consisting of 64 affordable income restricted rental units and 32 homeownership units, of which 24 units will be affordable, 24 below grade garage residential parking spaces, and 4,400 square feet of ground floor amenity space, including artist workspace, landscape plaza at the corner of Melnia Cass and Washington Streets, and the reconfiguration of the existing surface lot to accommodate at least 91 total shared parking spaces on parcel 10. To recommend approval to Board of Appeal for the necessary zoning relief and to take all related actions. Dana.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Secretary Polimas. I'm Dana Whiteside, Deputy Chief of Staff and Senior Development Advisor, and we are pleased to share with you this request for consideration of Article 80 approval of Phase 3 of the Parcel 10 development known as 2085 Washington Street. As part of this request, a brief update on key items completed and upcoming milestones. By way of reminder, again, the development team submitted a notice of project change for the 2085 Washington Street component of the project, transitioning it from a mixed-use office and commercial development to a residential project. Madison CDC has engaged Trinity Financial as its partner to create a new proposed program which consists of approximately, again, 96 residential units, rental and homeownership, the majority of which will be, as you've articulated, income restricted. The development team will share more about that momentarily, the details of their presentation. In addition to the important mitigation measures proposed of this project, this phase will also be LEED Gold and is also positioned to be a fully carbon neutral development with its complete design. Since the submission of the notice of project change, the Madison and Trinity Financial team has worked on the following: reconfiguration of the project in its design to right-size it to be in compliance with the use of street protection area, completing its initial advisory with the Boston Landmarks Commission, completing its MEPA, Notice of Project Change filing with the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs, as well as completion of its Boston Civic Design Review approvals. There have been opportunities through Project Review Committee meetings and briefings, reports to the Roxbury Strategic Master Plan Oversight Committee, as well as updates by the development team to various elected officials and stakeholders. This approval of the third phase will be an important milestone for the overall development in that it will support the funding applications the development team is making with the state's Department of Housing and Community Development. To advance this presentation, I'll first call on my colleague, Jennifer Kaplan of our planning division, who will talk about the planning context. She will be followed then by Kenan Bigby, Senior Vice President, of Trinity Financial, who's a partner with Madison CDC on the 2085 Washington development. Following their remarks, I'm happy to assist with any questions you may have. I will turn it over now to Jennifer.
Thank you, Dana. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. So good evening. Good evening, Chair Rojas, Secretary Polhemus, and members of the board. My name is Jennifer Kaplan, and I am the Senior Neighborhood Planner for Roxbury and have been actively involved in the Plan Nubian process. The proposed project is located within the planning boundaries of Plan Nubian Square, a planning process established in 2016. As many of you are aware, Plan Nubian Square is a product of the visions created in the Roxbury Strategic Master Plan of 2004, the strategic framework to guide change and economic growth in Roxbury over the next 10 to 20 years. The proposed project is the third and final phase of a project that has so far consisted of expanding Tropical Foods Market and building a mixed-use development. The proposal for Phase 3 makes significant contributions toward the realizations of Plan Nubian's goals by addressing key issues such as providing a wider range of housing options for residents of diverse socioeconomic age groups, enhancing civic life and cultural environment in which residents participate, and actively promoting a sustainable and diverse economy focused on job opportunities and the creation of wealth. Next slide, please. These are consistent with Plan Nubian's recommendations for goals that are around income, restricted housing options, vibrant ground floor use, and employment opportunities. I will now turn the presentation over to the proponent team to present the project in more detail. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Kenan Bigby. As Dana mentioned, I'm with Trinity Financial, and we are the joint venture partner with Madison Park Development Corporation in moving this development forward. Next slide, please. As was mentioned, this is the third and final phase of the Parcel 10 redevelopment. The first two phases are completed by Madison Park Development Corporation, and as you just heard, included new facility and expansion of Tropical Food Supermarket and the historic rehabilitation of their previous home into a mixed-use residential and ground floor commercial development. For the final component at this site, we will be implementing another mixed-use residential building that includes both rental and home ownership units and street activation through various means. Next slide, please. For the residential component, as you've heard, we are doing 96 units. 64 of those will be rental units, affordable from 30 to 80% of area median income. 32 of those units will be home ownership units and will be affordable from 80 to 120% of AMI and also include a small market rate component. Next slide. You see here the mixed income home ownership makeup and the income and price sales prices projected based on those income limits. Again, this is the result of a significant community outreach effort in identifying the unit mixes that reflect the stated goals of the Plan Nubian process. Next slide. And again, the breakdown of the mixed income rental component ranging from 30% AMI up to 80% AMI, a mix of studios, 1s, 2s, and 3-bedroom unit rental units. Next slide. In addition to the residential component, the project contains significant ground floor activation meant to add to the vitality of the Nubian Square district. That includes 4,400 square feet of mixed use square footage, including artist gallery space, community meeting space, artist workshops, and a new plaza that includes public art installations. Next slide. In this slide, you can see the rendering of the proposed plaza at the corner of Melnia, Cass Boulevard, and Washington Street, and how those uses that I just described on the ground floor will serve to activate that plaza. Next slide. The location of the property lends itself to a multimodal approach to transportation and circulation. It is serviced by the Silver Line as well as the Crosstown Bus on Washington and on Melnia Cass. It we are installing a blue bike station and providing ample bike storage both within the building and along the infrastructure improvements surrounding the building. And additionally, we are reconfiguring and improving the surrounding surface lot that provides parking for Tropical Foods and 2101 Washington. Next slide. These are just some representative renderings of the building. This is the view from Tropical Foods Supermarket that shows the surface parking that will be preserved to serve those customers and ensure that Tropical Foods continues to provide its goods and services to the community. Next slide. Another look at the property from the historic Elliott Burying Ground. Again, showing the building in context of all of the exciting changes and investments that have happened and will be happening in Nubian Square. Next slide. Another shot looking down Washington Street. Again, just highlighting the context for the property and again, illustrating the design changes that the proponent team and the design team have undergone to ensure compliance with the various requirements associated with the Eustis Street protection area. Next slide. Finally, our project is being proposed to meet the highest levels of green and resilient construction methodologies. We are pursuing LEED Gold certification with a score of 74. We are committed to 100% renewable energy for all house and common areas, including the installation of photovoltaic panels. And we are pursuing passive house. We're very focused on the impacts that this building will have on the targeted goals of reducing carbon emissions and adding to the stability of our environment. Next slide. As I've mentioned, the project provides significant benefits and mitigations to the community, including the creation of mixed income residential units, both for rent and home ownership. We talked about the LEED and green building investments that we're making here, a commitment to a high MWBE and local hiring, both during construction and ongoing operations, a public plaza that is focused on preserving existing mature trees at the site and adding additional greenery to contribute to the greening of Melnia Cass and Washington Street and combat heat island conditions in this neighborhood. A commitment to work with the Nubian Square Public Art Initiative to install public art at the site and coordinate with other public art installations planned for the area. Coordinate with the Boston Transportation Department to implement Melnia Cass Boulevard streetscape improvements and to maintain and enhance parking and site access for our existing neighbors at the site, Tropical Foods and 2101 Washington. Next slide. I think at this point, Dana, you wanted to close out the presentation.
This concludes the presentation, Madam Chair, and we are happy to take any questions you might have.
Great. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, well, I just want to recommend this is a very exciting project and really love to see this mixed income development and also addressing highlighting your commitment to environmental justice and recognizing the impact of heat islands. that can be created by within our city. So just wanted to commend you for that, and thank you. Okay, any further questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Congratulations and good luck.
Thanks, Madam Chair.
All right. Item number 19, request authorization to enter into an affordable housing agreement for the one homeowner unit for the proposed development located at 157 West Springfield Street. Michelle.
Hello, and thank you, Chairwoman Rojas, Executive Director Polhemus, and members of the board. I'm Michelle McCarthy, Housing Policy Manager here at the agency, and I'm here before you today on 157 West Springfield Street in the South End. This is a 9-unit residential homeownership project not requiring Article 80 review. Although this project is exempt from the inclusionary development policy because fewer than 10 residential units are being proposed, it's here before you today because the proponent has voluntarily agreed to provide one IDP unit within the project. As a result, your vote today is to authorize the execution of an affordable housing agreement for this IDP unit. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Michelle. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Item number 20. Request authorization to issue determination waiving further review pursuant to Section 80A-6 of the Boston Zoning Code in connection with the notice of project change for the proposed development on parcel 6A of the Massport Marine Terminal located at Fitz Kennedy Avenue within the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park, which proposed an addition to the existing building, increasing the square footage from 48,000 square feet to 57,696 square feet, thereby reducing the 57 parking spaces to 20 parking spaces, and to take all related actions. Dan.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Madam Secretary. My name is Daniel Polanco. I'm the project manager for the proposed notice of project change before you tonight at the Massport Marine Terminal, parcel 6A. The project originally received board approval on May of 2018 for the construction of three to four maritime industrial buildings on Massport Marine Terminal, parcel 6. On April 15, 2022, the proponent, Pilot Seafood Properties, the third LLC, filed a notice of project change to the BPDA in relation to the project's expansion of the facility and reduction of parking spaces. Under this 2022 MPC, Pilot now proposes to expand the current subparcel 6A building with the addition of 9,696 square foot of gross floor area, resulting in the building with a total of 57,696 square foot of gross floor area. In addition to the expansion of the facility, the parking spaces originally proposed will be reduced from 57 to 20. The displaced 37 parking spaces are expected to be able to use the furniture parking garage plan at the Massport Marine Terminal Parcel 5. The BPDA sponsored a public meeting on May 22nd, 2022 to notify and take comments from the public of the change of gross floor area, reduction of parking, as well as reiterate all the aspects of the project are remain the same. The comment period ended on May 9th. So thank you for your time and consideration tonight. I have the development team here with me today to answer any questions in regards to the proposed changes. I will now hand it over to Chris to discuss the planning context. Thank you so much.
Great, thanks, Dan. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Secretary Polhemus. I'm Chris Bush, Assistant Deputy Director for Climate Change and Environmental Planning. Here to provide some planning context for the project, which is located within the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park. The project is appropriate and consistent with the BPDA's Marine Park Master Plan Update, which is the growth and land use plan for the park. The Master Plan Update supports the park's mission of serving as a Boston-based job growth center, as well as a reserve for general industrial and marine industrial uses. The update also provides guidance to balance the economic growth seen with the expanding life science industry in the park with the support of water-dependent uses through new capital investments in marine infrastructure,
also transportation planning and climate resilience. The expansion of the existing seafood processing facility supports the growth of an important regional, even national seafood processing cluster and provides additional employment opportunities for the Boston area. The seafood processing use is also consistent with the regulatory and land use guidance, as the marine park is part of the South Boston designated port area and subject to regulations that preserve and promote marine industrial uses. Additionally, the project site is located within the Massport Marine Terminal, which is dedicated exclusively to marine industrial uses under the master plan update, and also conforms with the Harbor Park Maritime Economy Reserve Subdistrict zoning. Due to the parcel's proximity to Boston Harbor, it has also been designed to respond to sea level rise and future coastal storms by elevating the ground floor and protecting critical mechanical systems. With that, I'll turn it over to the project team to provide more details. Thank you.
Good evening. I guess we're moving into evening. I'm Catherine Maines with Pilot Development Partners. We manage Pilot Seafood Properties 3 LLC, and we're delighted to promote the interests of our tenant Boston Sword and Tuna on parcel 6. Next slide, please. Last month in Gillette Stadium, they were on stage with other awardees that were most of the usual tech companies, and they won the Massicon Gold Economic Impact Award, and we've seen it. We started working with them in 2016. They broke ground the day after Christmas 2018 and were opening their doors 2 years ago last month, and they've already outgrown their 48,000 square foot facility. So it's a handsome building. It's lonely out there. We're moving toward making some neighbors for them. Next slide, please. This just brings us into exactly where they are. And you see the satellite photograph shows them. Next slide, please. I'll point out that the satellite photograph here shows the 37 spaces that he's sacrificing to build out over. Small parcel, most efficient use possible. Next slide, please. And again, this graphic shows the addition being put onto what were parking spaces. Next slide, please. And these are elevations of this and a floor plan. Next slide, please. And here is where we are. It's been a bit, and we've been through the meetings, and we're just ready to help our tenant with this. Thank you very much. I'm happy to answer any questions. Next slide, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions or comments from the board?
I have one question. I know in our master plan, we talk about going vertically on top of seafood, maritime related industries. Have you thought about expanding up on the building, or is it just going to be this horizontal first floor?
Well, with this one, he wants his own building not having lab space above it, if that would be another use. The airport is a concern. We're 45 feet, and it's just hasn't been a consideration for him to increase the load on the piles.
Thank you.
Additional questions or comments?
I'd just like to add, it's nice to see the expansion of the seafood business in our waterfront area, so good luck with everything.
Oh, thank you so much.
Great. Additional questions or comments? Okay, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Lansford?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Good luck with the expansion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We are now going to take a brief 5-minute break before we reconvene and start the public hearing portion of the agenda.
Madam Chair, we can't start the public hearing until 5:40, so it'll be a 10-minute break.
Okay, we'll be a 10-minute break. So see you all back here at 5:40. Thank you. are now going to move forward with item number 23, which is a public hearing. Simultaneous Chinese interpretation is being provided for this meeting using language interpretation function within Zoom. We ask that you be patient in case of any technical issues. Language interpretation will not be enabled until instructions on how to access interpretation have been interpreted into Cantonese and Mandarin. Once interpretation has been enabled, a globe icon will appear. A reminder to all that are speaking today, we ask that everyone speak slowly for the interpreters. If you are speaking too quickly, I may interrupt you and ask you to speak slower. Thank you. To enable interpretation for Cantonese and Mandarin, please click on the bottom of your screen at Mandarin and Cantonese. For you also must mute original audio. Anna and Terry, if you would now please interpret the instructions that I just gave.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anna. I'll be your Cantonese interpreter for the meeting tonight. 大家好，我 Anna， 我係今天晚上嘅廣東話同步翻譯員。而家你見到個地球嘅時候咧，撳落去揀廣東話，咁就會去到廣東話嘅翻譯頻道。如果需要用手機嘅話咧，麻煩撳嗰3個點再揀更多，亦都去到廣東話嘅同步翻譯嘅喎。唔該晒，一陣間見。Thank you. Terry, your turn.
Thank you, Anna. Hi everyone, my name is Terry. I'll be your Mandarin interpreter. 大家好，我叫 Terry， 我是你的国语翻译。待会儿呢，你在屏幕下方看到一个地球仪的图标，你点选地球仪的图标，然后再选择 Mandarin， 你就可以听到普通话的那个传页了。如果你是用手机或者是平板电脑上来的话呢，你可以选择屏幕下方的3个点，然后再选择语言的选项，也可以进入到普通话的频道。好，谢谢大家。Thank you. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. And Barry, will you please kindly turn the interpretation channel on? And we're just going to wait a few seconds to allow folks to join. All right. If you are having any difficulty activating interpretation, please call the phone number on the screen. Please take note of phone number on the screen. If you have any difficulties later in the meeting, you can call that number. The project presentation.
Madam Chair, can you pause a minute? I don't know that the Mandarin channel is working.
Okay.
Barry, would you please add me into the Mandarin?
Could we do a test of the Mandarin channel please? Barry, are you hearing any audio on the Mandarin channel?
Go ahead now, please.
Terry, go ahead.
I'm still not in the Mandarin channel.
Barry, I don't hear anything in the Mandarin channel.
He is at it.
Okay. Terry, if you could just say something in the Mandarin channel, that would be helpful.
I still don't see the toggle for my interpretation function.
I just enabled it again. You should see it.
You don't have it. Should I come back?
Terry, can you do a test?
This is Terry. I'm still in the general channel.
Terry, please try again, please. You should see your channel.
I'm still in the general channel. Do you want me to come back I can log out and log back in.
Terry, why don't you log out and come back in?
Okay.
I think we're good to go. Terry, I think we're good to go.
Okay. Okay, I will continue.
Madam Chair, you may continue. Thank you, everyone, for your patience.
Thank you. Right, so where was I? Okay, so the project presentation has been translated into Cantonese and Mandarin and is available on the BPDA website at bostonplans.org/about-us/BPDA-board/board-meetings. Please take note of the website address on the screen to enable the translated project presentation. This is a public hearing before the Boston Redevelopment Authority doing business as the Boston Planning and Development Agency, being held in conformance with Article 80C of the Boston Zoning Code to consider the First Amendment to the development plan for the planned development area number 95, 80 East Berkeley Street in the South End neighborhood of Boston. This hearing was duly advertised on April 28th, 2022 in the Boston Herald. This is a BPDA hearing on a proposed petition by the agency. Staff members will first present their case and are subject to questioning by members of the agency. Thereafter, anyone who wishes to testify about the proposed project will be afforded an opportunity. We are taking support and opposition at the same time, so if you're planning to testify, please take time now to verify that your computer microphone is active. Click on the hand icon on your Zoom control panel, and this will signal to the staff that you would like to speak. When your hand is raised, it will be blue. If you are calling into the meeting and would like to testify, please dial *9 to raise your hand. When I call for all testimony, staff will announce your name and allow you to talk. You must unmute your microphone and your webcam will not be active. In an effort to accommodate all who would like to speak about this proposal, each person will be given up to 2 minutes to comment. BPDA staff will indicate when 30 seconds remain. At that time, please conclude your remarks so that the hearing may continue and others may be heard. At the conclusion of all oral testimony, any email testimony will be read aloud. Finally, the proponents are allowed a period of 5 to 10 minutes for rebuttal if they so desire. Ms. Sarah Black will now begin the presentation.
Good evening, and thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Madam Secretary. My name is Sarah Black, and I'm a Senior Project Manager in the Development Review Department. As you may recall, the 80 East Berkeley Street project was previously approved by this board in October of 2013. On January 31st, 2022, the developer filed a notice of project change and a PDA amendment for the project. The NPC describes a change in use from office to life sciences and provides updates on the project design. Life sciences are unallowed use under the PDA that was previously approved back in 2013, and the developer voluntarily filed the PDA amendment solely to restrict the allowed biosafety levels of the life science use to levels 1 and 2. No biosafety levels 3 or 4 are contemplated. The proposed project consists of approximately 265,000 square feet, including approximately 252,000 square feet of life science space, as well as approximately 13,000 square feet of ground floor cultural, retail, services, and/or restaurant space, and approximately 200 parking spaces in 2 below-grade parking levels. The estimated total linkage amount for the proposed project is $2,539,350, which is $575,830 more than the estimated total linkage amount for the previously approved project. The amount of transportation mitigation to be contributed to BPD has also increased by $220,000 since the previously approved project. The BPDA hosted an IAG and public meeting on March 14th, 2022, and the comment period subsequently closed on March 28th. We have received letters of support from Councillor Flynn and Representative Santiago. Before handing it over to the development team, I will pass it over to Kathleen Onifer from the Planning Department to discuss the planning context for the project. At the conclusion of the presentation, we are happy to accept and answer any questions. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sarah. Good evening, and thank you, Chair Rojas, Secretary Polhemus, and members of the board. My name is Kathleen Onifer, and I'm the Assistant Deputy Director for Downtown and Neighborhood Planning, and I'm presenting tonight for the Neighborhood Planner for the South End. The proposed project is located within the boundaries of the Harrison-Albany Corridor Strategic Plan. This plan was adopted in November 2012 to guide the transformation of formerly industrial and low-scale commercial areas of the South End to an urban mixed-use district with an improved public realm. The plan included goals to attract and maintain jobs, preserve the funky and eclectic, and that is a direct quote from the plan, vibe of the area, and continue to be a good neighbor to the rest of the South End. The project site is within the New York Streets character area of the plan, which is envisioned as a physical and economic link between downtown, Chinatown, the residential South End, and South Boston. The project complies with the dimensional regulations established by the plan and taken into zoning, and it includes an easement for pedestrian access as envisioned as part of the plan's public realm network. I will now turn the presentation over to the proponent team to present the project in more detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Madam Chair, members of the board, my name is Ronald Drucker. I'm president of the Drucker Company, the proponent of the project. You've heard most of the facts about the project. One thing you should note that we are building 43,000 square feet less than was previously approved. At the same time, we are staying within the 150-foot height limitation and building less than our allowable 6.5 FAR. We will include affordable community space on the ground floor as part of our project, which we hope in conversations with Representative Flynn, City Council President Flynn, that we will try to work with some of the youth of the neighborhood to further their education. We will be paying increased linkage fees, an increase of $575,000. We will be creating 300 construction jobs and 800 permanent jobs, and $75,000 will be distributed to neighborhood entities, and $265,000 will be given to the BPDA to further the transportation in the neighborhood. What we've endeavored to do is to maintain the same architecture while reducing the square footage in the building. And I'll give you David Manfredi, and I'll be available for questions following that.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Secretary Polhemus, members of the board. Pleasure to be back here at the BPDA board. You can go to the next, please. I think we can actually go a couple of slides forward. You can go forward as Ron covered that. So Ron covered all of the key elements. We've reduced the total square footage by 43,000. The building height has not changed. Number of parking spaces has not changed. There are increases in electrical vehicle parking, increases in bicycle parking, and we are a LEED certifiable silver building and comply with city's net zero carbon zoning standard. Next. You can see on this map the site, about 1.1 acre between Shawmut Avenue and Washington Street on East Berkeley. This project represents important infill of a surface parking lot and former gas station to really create a double-sided street on East Berkeley. Next, please. The building footprint remains almost exactly the same with some accommodations on the interior of the building. But the most important things are the continuous retail edge on wrapping around Shawmut all along East Berkeley and active edge all along Washington Street. The sidewalks are still very wide, approximately 19 feet on Shawmut, approximately 20 feet 6 inches on East Berkeley Street, and approximately 18 feet on Washington Street. All the loading is interior to the building. It is off an access way that connects Shawmut Avenue to Washington Street, so there's no additional curb cuts. There's simply the curb cut on Shawmut that will connect through to Washington Street. Next, please. There are a series of renderings here, and on the left is the approved rendering from renderings from December of 2015, and then on the right, the proposed. If you're really sharp this afternoon, you'll notice there's a slight difference between the renderings on the right and what was in your package. The reason for that is we have been working in the last several weeks with Michael Canizzo and the urban design staff at BPDA, who asked us to make some minor changes in the masonry, the portions of the masonry openings. This is largely a masonry building with curtain wall. We have made those changes. Michael and his staff have accepted those changes, and they are represented in the rendering on the right. So what you're seeing on the screen is slightly updated from what was submitted. The major difference here is exactly what Ron said at the beginning. We've reduced the number of floors from 11 to 10 and maintained the height of 150 feet. What happened, of course, is we've increased the floor-to-floor from 13 feet to 14 foot 6 inches. And so while the building is the same height, it has actually been reduced in size by 43,000 square feet. At the same time, the mechanical floor at the top is the same height as it was before when it was proposed as an office building. It's an additional 20 feet above the roof height of 150 feet. We have not increased the height of the mechanical floor. You can see that the building materials remain the same. The architecture remains the same. The biggest difference, of course, there's been a change in the requirements around energy code and the building envelope. We've accommodated those, and that is really the refinement that we've been doing with staff over the last several weeks, and which was just recently accepted. So this is a long view down East Berkeley looking west. And you can see the cantilevered form of the curtain wall component of the building, which previously was 6 stories, is now 5 stories. Again, that's a combination of the floor-to-floor height. Next is a view looking east on East Berkeley. You can see the 2-story base, the retail that wraps around the corner. Again, those projecting elements, and again, the masonry, kind of a dark gray brick masonry, and then the upper floors of the building, and you can see the far projection on the east side of the building. Next, on the left again is the approved from 2015. On the right is the new addition. This is looking north on East Berkeley. You can see again the base of the building, the continuous retail with awnings, the same idea about this masonry mass with the projecting very glassy corners and outdoor spaces for the tenants of the building, and an outdoor space up on level 10. There's one more rendering, and it is the view on Washington Street looking south. Again, you can see how those active uses wrap around the corner. The public parking has an entrance and exit, pedestrian entrance and exit on the northeast corner of the building, as well as the vehicular entrance and exit on Washington Street. And again, the proportions of those masonry openings have been adjusted to be very similar to what was proposed back in 2015. With that, I'll return to Ron for the summary.
I think in conclusion, I won't repeat everything that we just said, but the building conforms to zoning. It's actually less square feet than before, and life science is an approved use, and we would be happy to answer any questions. I might add that I was honored to go to China in 1982 with then Mayor Kevin White as part of a group of 26 Bostonians as a delegation to create the sister city relationship with Hangzhou. Sadly, my Chinese is limited to saying hello, which is ni hao, and that's about all I can do. So I can't help with any translation. So we're happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. So as this is a public hearing, we are going to take public testimony first and then have questions and comments from the board. Secretary Polhemus, do we have anyone who would like to testify?
Okay. Robert Wells, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes. My name's Bob Wells. I live about 100 yards from the site, kind of diagonally across the Washington East Berkeley intersection. So the new building is going to be something that I can see fairly plainly out my front window. As it's been mentioned, this project went through a lot of review and revisions in the previous cycle, and it had a lot of community support, and everything was approved. The only personal thing I have is I'm going to miss Dom's car lot there a little bit because I get my car work done, but this is obviously a better use for a very underutilized site, and bringing it up to a more appropriate urban density I think is a good thing. So I'd like to support the application, urge you to approve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Minor Perez, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is Minor Perez on behalf of the Carpenters Union. On behalf of, first I want to say, give a warm welcome on behalf of our organization to Director Jameson. We are looking forward to work with you. Second, I want to thank the BPDA and the Office of Mayor Wu for conducting a very thorough review and allowing the community to be part of the process. And finally, to Mr. Drucker, a responsible developer, always done the right thing by the construction guys. And because of that, hundreds of union carpenters are in support of this project.
Thank you, Minor. Jim Fleming, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, excuse me. Hi, thank you. My name is Jimmy Fleming, I'm a business agent with IBEW Local 103, the electrical workers. I also want to speak tonight in support of this project. The Drucker family has been a responsible developer in the city for a long time, and we look forward to this project for the opportunities it's going to present for our members and the apprenticeship opportunities for city residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fleming. Would anyone else like to testify about this project? Anybody else? Madam Chair, I believe that concludes the public hearing portion of this item.
Thank you. Ms. Black, do we have anything, any written testimony that needs to be received into the record?
We do. We received 2 letters of support, one from Councilor Flynn and one from Representative Santiago, which I will read in now. Starting with the letter from Councilor Flynn. Dear members of the BPDA board, I am writing in support of the project proposed at 80 East Berkeley Street in the South End that is before the BPDA board today. I hope that the board will take the action necessary to approve this project. The proposal includes 265,000 square feet of life science, research and development facilities, retail, services, and/or restaurant spaces. This will be a 10-story building focused on the life sciences sector with biosafety levels no higher than levels 1 and 2. There will be many economic and community benefits generated by the project, including the creation of over 300 construction jobs and over 800 permanent jobs once the building is fully leased and occupied, and over $2.5 million in linkage payments ranging from housing contribution grants. The development will be located in close proximity to the Silver, Orange, and Red Line stations, as well as several bus routes, encouraging more use of public transportation. There will also be 200 parking spaces created below ground on site with over 89 public parking spots, including charging stations for 50 electric vehicles. There will also be 122 bicycle spaces, which will also encourage environmentally friendly modes of transportation. I believe that the proponent has conducted a thorough community process with neighbors and civic organizations, and I respectfully ask that the board provide every consideration as this project will be a valuable addition to my district and the economic vitality of our city. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at ed.flynn@boston.gov or at 617-635-3203. I will now read the letter from Representative Santiago. Dear Ms. Black, as the state representative for the 9th Suffolk District, I want to thank the Boston Planning and Development Agency for conducting a thorough community process regarding the notice of project change recently filed for 80 East Berkeley Street. The proposed changes to the project will result in greater employment opportunities in a fast-growing sector of our local economy and result in increased vibrancy in our neighborhoods. The Drucker Company has gone to great lengths in addressing issues raised by neighbors and has committed to working closely with our community throughout construction. I see this project as a continuation of my goals to create jobs and create opportunities for our community's residents, and therefore would like to be recorded in support. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thank you very much. So now we move on to questioning by the board. Do we have any questions or comments from the board members?
I have a question about one attribute of this project that goes back to your original filing, and that is to say that this is a very important site, I think, because it creates something of a bridge between all that goes on in the South End and SOA on one side and what's been happening at the Ink Block on the other. And your original filing said that you wanted to maintain the elements of funky and eclectic in this site. You have wide sidewalks. I view funky and eclectic as a really important element of how you establish a neighborhood's character. You know, it makes for fun. And so with your wide sidewalks and the like, I'm very curious as to how you're going to maintain a sense of character that might somehow connect to the funky and eclectic of SOA with what has proven to be maybe a somewhat less exciting and interesting environment at the Ink Block.
Let me give that a try, David, and then you can chime in. As we did over at Atelier 505 with Barcelona and Pico and now Life Alive, they all spill out onto our plaza. And I think that to be funky in part of the neighborhood would be to have restaurants, or certainly a restaurant in any event, at least one for sure, that would enliven the public realm and the sidewalk. And I think that being a bridge between sort of the hipness of SOA and maybe the more staid aspects of what's been happening to the north of that, I think that would be our goal. And David, you might want to speak to the awnings or other architectural elements that would add to that.
Yeah, I'll simply reinforce what Ron said. I think the real benefit of the wide sidewalks is that it does give you the advantage when you're 20 feet wide to have, 10 feet of outdoor dining space that brings tables and chairs and umbrellas and awnings, signage. We're certainly not afraid of signage. Completely agree that you want that active base and also think about operable sash, like Sansi on Newberry Street, where there's a connection inside and out in the good weather, which is coming this weekend, and really create. I love what you said, Dr. Landsmark. We're making connection here between those two sides, which right today is narrow sidewalks and a surface parking lot. I think there is an obligation to make this as permeable, active, engaging for pedestrians as possible.
Great, thank you.
Any additional questions or comments from the board? Okay, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving back to item number 21. Request authorization to issue a certification of approval in accordance with Article 80E Small Project Review of the Zoning Code for the construction of 32 residential rental units, including 5 IDP units, 1,797 square feet of commercial space, 22 parking spaces, 30 indoor resident bicycle spaces, and 10 outdoor visitors bicycle spaces located at 279 Maverick Street, and to take all related actions, Sarah.
Good evening again, and thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Madam Secretary. Again, my name is Sarah Black, and I'm a Senior Project Manager in the Development Review Department. Thank you for your time this evening. So the proposed 279 Maverick Street project consists of a new 5-story mixed-use building containing 32 residential units, 1 commercial unit containing approximately 1,774 square feet, 18 accessory off-street parking spaces located in the building's at-grade garage, and 34 bike racks. The project will deliver 15% of the proposed residential units at 70% AMI. The BPDA held a public meeting and 2 IAG meetings for this project in November 2021 and April 2022. The project team worked with BPDA planning staff to ensure the project was integrated into the community's vision for East Boston. I am happy to turn it over to Angel Guzman from the planning team to discuss this in further detail.
Thank you, Sarah. Good evening, Chair Rojas, Secretary Polimas, and members of the board. My name is Angel Guzman, and I am a neighborhood planner covering East Boston. If we could go to the next slide. Thank you. The proposed project is located within the planning boundaries of Plan East Boston, an ongoing planning initiative that began in 2018. Plan East Boston delivered draft recommendations for all squares and corridors in May of last year. Draft recommendations for neighborhood residential areas are forthcoming. Next slide. The proposal is located within a quarter mile of Maverick Square. Maverick Street itself is a neighborhood residential street best characterized by a variation in building scale, including primarily low and mid-rise residential buildings and limited low-scale industrial buildings adjacent to Logan Airport. Neighborhoods serving retail amenities are common ground floor uses along the length of the street. The variation in scale presented several important planning considerations for the site, including the treatment of added building height, providing for active ground floor uses, limiting total lot coverage, and preserving appropriate rear yard setbacks. The proposal responded appropriately to design review feedback, as demonstrated by the evolution of the proposed ground floor plan. The proponent made significant efforts to preserve the rear yard condition as usable open space, while simultaneously adding front yard setbacks to increase available dimensions for sidewalks to support a ground floor retail amenity. The proposal complies with draft recommendations to increase allowed building height in exchange for increased residential affordability and contributes beyond what is required by IDP. The additional height is stepped back after the 4th story to limit its visual impact to Maverick Street. And the proposal contemplates other important community benefits, and I'd like to hand the presentation over to the proponent team to present in more detail. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Angel. Good evening, Chairwoman Rojas, members of the board, and Secretary Polimas. My name is Richard Lins. I'm an attorney with a business address at 245 Sumner Street, East Boston, and I represent the proponent for the project at 279 Maverick Street, which is before the board this evening. Madam Chair, similar to other projects recently completed in the immediate area of 279 Maverick, we're pleased to present this project for approval under Article 80 Small Project Review, and we look forward to the creation of a new mixed-use development that will replace an underutilized site at the Jeffreys Point section of East Boston. The project is the result of more than 2 years of dialogue with the surrounding community direct abutters, and the diligent work of BPDA staff, which will create 32 new rental housing opportunities, of which 5 will become income restricted under the city's inclusionary development policy. We'll also be making improvements along the adjacent public realm. The project has been specifically designed to address the requirements of the East Boston IPOD, flood resiliency, and groundwater conservation overlay districts. At this time, Madam Chair, I'd like to invite Cindy Lee, who is the project architect with Embark Studio, to provide the board with a brief overview of the project, and we'd be happy to address any project-specific questions at the conclusion. Cindy?
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair and member of the board. My name is Cindy Lee. I'm an architect with Embark Design. We've been working on this project diligently with the neighborhood, and we're very pleased about the resulting design. Next, please. The existing lot is a vacant lot. It has a lot of potentials being right next to an entrance point to the bike path. However, we are tasked with mitigating between a brand new 5-story building that you can see on the left and an existing 3-story brick building on the right. Next. As you can see, the scale on both sides are different, as well as the existing triple deckers that's across the street. We really try to strike a careful balance in terms of scale and material for our design. Next. In the public realm, we maintained a fairly consistent wide sidewalk, but I think the most important result of working with the abutters and the community is that we create this large rear setback that's 26 feet in combination with the rear yard of the abutters that are on Everett Street, really create a light-filled rear yard for everyone. I think, not just for the residents in this building, but for adjacent neighbors. The parkings are going to be in the garage and hidden. The proponent will also create a crosswalk, a safe crosswalk for bikers and pedestrians to the bike path that is in the rear of the airport surface building area. As Richard mentioned, we carefully met all the criteria of the sea level rise standard, as well as aiming to enliven the pedestrian experience by having large retail opportunities on this portion of Maverick Street. Next, please. In terms of landscaping, softscape, we will be providing a number of trees along with bicycle parkings for visitors along Maverick Street. Curb bike parking will be inside the garage for residents, and really trying to provide a lively, soft outdoor living room in the back of the building. We will be sharing a single driveway with the existing 3-story brick building at 273 Maverick Street, thereby closing two other existing curb cuts. Next, please. So here's an elevation where, as I was saying, we try to mitigate between the 5-story building on the left and the 3-story brick building on the right by carefully proportioning the building, creating bays that mimic the triple deckers across the way, introducing a brick that aligns with adjacent roof lines, adjacent setbacks. I think this will be a really great infill, in this vacant lot. Next, please. Elevation-wise, the existing or the new constructions that's abutting this property, we're trying to match a lot of the setbacks in terms of the bays, and as far as the roof, the building height will not be taller than that adjacent building. It will be under 60 feet. Next, please. The elevations will consist of mostly brick facade along Maverick Street, and it will transition into more residential siding, lap siding, as well as vertical board and batten on the top level. In the rear, next please. We take advantage of the south exposure and are providing balconies for all the units, or Juliet balconies. Those will be very sunny and a great place to live. Next, please. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, any questions or comments from the board? Great looking project. Okay, so hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Okay, item number 22. Request authorization to execute and deliver a first amendment to the cooperation agreement for the 212 through 222 Stewart Street project and to take all related actions. Quinn.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Secretary Polimas. I'm here before you today to present the First Amendment to the Cooperation Agreement for the project at 212 to 222 Stewart Street in Bay Village. As you may remember, this project was previously approved by this board in June of 2017 as a 19-story building with 126 residential units and ground floor retail space. A building permit was issued by the city in June of 2020, and construction is presently underway. In December 2019, a cooperation agreement was agreed to and signed for the project. This agreement outlined $542,000 in community benefit funds to be contributed by the proponent. Of this amount, $292,000 was designated to the benefit of nearby parks, while the remaining $250,000 was designated for other safety and open space improvements. The parks funds were to be transferred to the Boston Parks and Recreation Department via the BPDA, while the safety and open space funds were to be transferred to the Bay Village Neighborhood Association via the BPDA. Half of each of these figures was to be paid upon receipt of the building permit, while the other half was to be paid upon receipt of certificate of occupancy. As the building permit has already been issued, the first half of the funds have already been paid. The recipient parks outlined in the cooperation agreement and in the board memo are owned by various municipal entities, which presented a challenge for efficient disbursement of the funds. In order to remedy this problem, in coordination with City Council President Ed Flynn, the Boston Parks Department, and the Bay Village Neighborhood Association, it has been decided to change the recipient of the remaining funds from the Boston Parks and Recreation Department to a fund maintained by the Bay Village Neighborhood Association. This will allow the funds to be put to work in the community more quickly and efficiently. Thank you for your consideration on this matter.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? All right, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 24, request authorization to disperse $58,592 to the University of Massachusetts Boston's Department of Urban Planning in support of the summer program in resiliency planning and to enter into a grant agreement. Barry.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Madam Secretary. My name is Barry Reeves, the Director of Diversity and Inclusion. Thank you for your time today. Today, I will be presenting 3 pilot programs designed to introduce BIPOC youth to the exciting intellectual education and professional and public service opportunities available within the ever-ranging expanding urban planning, design, and development professions within our region. Participations in these 3 developmental organized planning and design educational experiences in combination with ongoing mentoring by urban planners and designers involved in the Boston pipeline will hopefully encourage participants to enroll in the undergraduate programs that will prepare them for employment in our region's urban planning sector and graduate studies in urban planning. The University of Massachusetts Boston's urban planning program and design in partnership with the BPDA will host the 2020 Summer Program in Resiliency Planning. 30 students will be introduced into the role of urban planners and measuring, modeling, and mitigating the impact of climate change on the environmental, economic, and social aspects of our city and region. With this background, they will be given the opportunity to acquire firsthand experience collaborating with the resilient residents from the neighborhood where their school is located in collecting, mapping, and analyzing extreme heat data from a sample of local public schools, social service agencies, single and multifamily home, and intensely used public spaces, i.e. parks and bus shelters. After collecting the data and analyzing these data, the students will present their research findings at a public meeting organized to engage the cross-sections of local stakeholders in a discussion of alternative strategies to mitigate extreme heat-related health threats facing their community most vulnerable residents. I request that the director be approved to enter into this grant agreement. I am happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Barry. Questions or comments from the board?
This looks like a great program. How will the young people be selected?
So we are working with the Boston Public School to select candidates through the fellowship, working with Madison Park and Dr. Kevin McCaskill, who is helping us recruit students as well.
Great.
Awesome. I just think this is, I wrote down in my notes, so awesome. I think this is just exactly what we need to be doing to create access and opportunity for all people, but particularly BIPOC planners. And we need those young minds helping us plan for their future and in protecting this city and making it resilient. So I'm just very excited to take this vote. So with that, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsberg?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Barry. Next one's you too. Okay. Request authorization to disperse $15,000 to the Boston Architectural College in support of the Summer Mobile Makers Program and to enter into a grant agreement. Barry.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, secretary. Mobile Makers meet students where they are by both bringing workshops to their community and schools by addressing the needs that they see. Mobile Makers also develop a mobile makerspace, a solar-powered mobile classroom containing power tools, building materials, and a 3D printer inside a former delivery truck to host pop-up design workshops at community events. Founder Maya Bird Murphy's personal experience of being a Black woman in a white male-dominated architecture field led her to found Mobile Makers to provide opportunities to underrepresented youth who need to learn about design to lead their own communities and to diversify the field. This summer, Mobile Makers, in partnership with the Boston Planning and Development Agency, Boston Centers of Youth and Families, and Boston Public Schools will host summer location camp locations and BP design location events, pop-up events that provide design, architecture, digital fabrication, and basic construction programming for Boston youth. Program ranges from one-day pop-ups that center on play to multi-week workshop series. Mobile Makers workshops are open to all youth, but target low-income LGBTQ, female-identifying, and BIPOC youth, as these are the underrepresented groups within the design and architecture fields. In 2019, Mobile Makers engaged with 670 youth throughout 150 workshops in 11 schools in disinvested areas in Chicago. And also, Mobile Makers reached 215 youth in 2020 and 320 in 2021 through a mix of virtual workshops and pop-up events. This grant will be used to support the second city to host Mobile Makers this summer and provide engagement opportunities for BIPOC youth. I'm requesting that the director be approved to enter into this grant agreement.
Thank you, Barry. Questions or comments from the board?
Well, just a comment as a past president of the BAC, it's very satisfying for me to see this program in part because they have long run very successful programs for high school kids. And I just wonder, with the last item, this item, and the next item, are these being thought of as pilots that could be expanded in future summers?
Sir, yes, they are looking to expand it with the Mobile Makers. We are looking to, we piloted 4 locations during the spring break to success of seeing about 150 young people. And we hope to keep this summer programming up with Mobile Makers as well as the summer architecture and the next item that's on the board to continue to expand opportunities for BIPOC youth as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Any additional questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Item number 26, request authorization to disperse $48,000 to the Boston Architectural College in support of the Summer Academy Fellows Program and to enter into a grant agreement. Barry.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Board Member, Secretary Police. The Boston Summer Academy Fellowship Program's overarching goal is to increase minority employment in urban planning during the next 10 years, so it equals the percent of people of color living in our region. The Summer Academy program will focus on minority Boston's high school students from grades 9 through 10 who want to learn more about architecture, interior architecture, landscape architecture, urban design, and other related professions. The fellows will be enrolled in the Summer Academy program from July 5th to July 29th, 12 to 3:30 respectively, and attend 6 enrichment workshops with other fellows and design mentors from the Boston community. All students will have access to the latest design software and computing through either on-site computer labs at the BAC or Visual Cloud Lab. In addition to the sketchbook that all BAC Summer Fellows will receive to work on, this year students will also receive a digital and physical design portfolio, and they will also receive a 3D printing pen to incorporate into the design explorations during and after the BAC Summer Academy Fellows Program. Students also will be eligible to transition into one of the year-round programs such as Digital Ready and ACE Mentors to continue on with their education and design education for mentorship. This grant will be used to support 60 BIPOC students. I request that the director be approved to enter into this grant agreement. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? All right, well, this is really exciting, Barry. Thank you so much for bringing these to us. Let us know how it's going. We'd love an update and maybe an invite to one of those presentations. Really excited to see what the outcomes of these programs are.
Absolutely, and thank you again for the board for their support.
Okay, with that, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thanks, Barry. Okay, item number 27, contractual. I need a motion to pay bills.
I move that we pay our bills.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Please pay the bills. Thank you. Item number 28, personnel. Heather.
Thank you again, Madam Chair, members of the board. We have just a few items for your consideration on the BRA agenda. One status change for Devin Quirk, Director of Real Estate in the Real Estate Department. One travel request for Ala Ziskin, Deputy Director for GIS in the MIS office. One policy and procedure request related to appointing an acting director for Signature Authority. And lastly, 2 departures, Irene Andrew, Community Engagement Manager in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and Brian Golden, Director in the Director's Office. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Heather. All right, item number 29, we have an informational quarter 3 and end of year budget update by Michelle.
Michelle, you're muted.
I'm so sorry.
Or not
Extra. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Extra muted. Sorry about that. And hello, Madam Chair, members of the board, Secretary Pathemis. I am Michelle Goldberg, the Director of Finance for the BPDA. I am here today to present our third quarter finance update. This will not require a vote, and I am happy to take questions at the conclusion of the presentation. Next slide, please. And next slide. As is our current practice, I will start with equitable procurement, which is celebrating its 1-year anniversary. The plan requires that the Director of Finance, who is also the CPO, provide this update in addition to our financial activities. We have up here, the plan has 5 key elements, all designed to break down barriers to opportunities. The BPDA began implementing this plan immediately upon its passage in May 2021, and we have made great progress in all 5 categories. But tonight I will highlight 2 key areas of accomplishment. In the process and design category, we are excited to talk about our house doctor contracts that we discussed earlier. For our data collection efforts, we have another sample to share on how we might be able to structure reports going forward. Next slide, please. At the February presentation, I mentioned that we were iterating on data reporting and tracking. Since that report, the BPDA has released 14 solicitations. 11 of those had a narrowly tailored outreach list created by the procurement unit. For the remaining 3, the project managers had acceptable outreach plans. Our supplier diversity specialist, Robert, reached out to 758 unique vendors, primarily off of the state supplier list, as well as internal contacts we have collected through our outreach events. Robert is building relationships with business owners, and we know these efforts are bringing more plan holders and bidders to the table. We are wrestling with ideas around time and how to snapshot the work over time versus annual reports. And so hopefully when we bring our budget next month, we'll have some more long-term reporting for you. We should also celebrate the establishment of those work order agreement contracts, frequently referred to as house doctor, because they allow for more vendors to get contracts and to be available for work as needed. We have, I think Dr. Landsmark had asked, and I double checked during the extra time, Dyer and Brown is an LGBTQ business that's new to us, that's joining through the House Doctor program, along with Leonardi, Arrays Architect, Merge Architects, Prism Energy Consulting. Studio NE is a fairly new partner. They do have a few other contracts with us, but we kind of consider them a recruit. Our general repairs and maintenance contract is also a work order, house doctor style. Those will be due back on May 26th, and I double checked, 17 plan holders have reported themselves as being MWBE status. Next slide, please. We are also working on our engagement muscle. We've settled into a cadence of about 1 outreach event per quarter. We had 2 in 2021, and we have 1 coming up soon in May, and we'll be resuming after summer break. We'll be back into it in the fall. We're really pleased to be able to invest this much time and energy, because it takes quite a bit of staff attention to prepare and attend these events. Next slide, please. Now we can move to our finances. Next slide. Fiscal year 2022 started on July 1, 2021. The trends we are seeing remain favorable for the BPDA. Next slide, please. Some of the highlights, leases and rental revenue are ahead of our conservative budget due to strong first quarter performance. Tenants were able to leave the deferment program and resume payments beyond our initial projections, which is an encouraging trend. Parking revenue is also ahead of budget based on unanticipated construction parking at Bunker Hill Community College and a citywide increase in transient parking. We have a detailed slide that we'll take a quick peek at after this. When the pandemic first hit, we were unsure of the long-term effects on parking, but it seems clear that with a hybrid work model becoming the norm, we're actually seeing more interest in parking than before the pandemic, which is a comforting sign for our long-term financial stability. Equity participation is ahead of budget due to favorable condo sales activities. We understand that the market is fluctuating due to inflation and federal financial policy changes. That said, the condo sale market in Boston remains strong, and we will continue to monitor this activity. For expenses, salary spending is well below budget due to staff vacancies. Currently, we have lots of vacancies posted, and we have a lot of recruitment work to do. Employee benefits follows being low as well. Based on current trends, the intercompany grant from EDIC to BRA doesn't look like it will be required for this fiscal year. For folks who have been following us, one of the big components of the BRA budget is the demolition and remediation of Building 108. That project experienced several delays beyond the agency's control, but we are pleased to share that work is underway Spending has started and the agency will fully realize the expenses of this project in FY23. So next year's budget will have that in mind. Next slide, please. So to take a quick peek at parking, if you look closely at this graph, you can see that the revenue did take a dip during January, during the Omicron surge. We're pleased to see that that returned because we weren't quite sure what that was signaling, but it has come back to exceed our budget levels, and we're pleased to see that. Next slide, please. Briefly, here is a very high level of our capital spending through the third quarter. We are pleased to see the roadway improvements and spending in the Marine Park. And I'd like to take this opportunity to point out that we are going to be approving the Pier 4 project from a financial point of view that you approved tonight, although it was not included initially in this year's fiscal FY22 budget. Because spending remains low, we feel comfortable approving this project and it will be included in the FY23 plan and going forward. With that, I'm happy to take any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
I just want to say, Michelle, I always greatly appreciate these updates, their thoroughness and the thoughtfulness which you're addressing our procurement strategy, and just congratulations to you and your team.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Would you mind if we go back one slide? Just knowing that we, just made the motion to approve $9 million and a 10%, cushion there. So can you review? So is that coming out of the BRA Charlestown Navy Yard?
Yes. So.
Okay.
Yes, and we don't anticipate that actual expenses will hit before the close of this fiscal year. So by getting this contract in place from a budgeting perspective, not only are we comfortable that we budgeted about $9 million for other projects that haven't happened just yet, we feel comfortable enough that we've considered that for this year and for next year. We also have a capital reserve fund, and majority of these, we have not been required to tap into that yet.
Okay.
So we still feel confident that this is an appropriate use of funds at an appropriate time.
Okay. And I know that there's been, a proactive, search, right, for the capital, improvements that we need to make. Anything else popping up, that I just want to say, so you still feel comfortable that we're, able to?
Yes, I mean, if anything, I think that we, we're excited that Building 108 spending will increase. And if anything, again, it's a question of staff capacity. And so the sooner we can fill some of the vacancies that we have on that team, we have identified over $400 million of infrastructure needs, and this was included in that big number. So the sequence of the projects sometimes might shift, but we understand across the portfolio that we're going to have to address these needs. And so if anything, I think we're excited that we have the capacity to go forward and address this project. And we'll be looking for more capacity to do more.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? All right. Well, thank you again, Michelle. Really appreciate it. Okay. So that was the last item on our agenda for the BRA portion of the meeting. So I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Move we adjourn this meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
I couldn't tell if anyone heard me. Did you hear me?
The motion is, okay, so we seconded it. Okay, roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Meeting adjourned. Okay, so now we're moving into the EDIC meeting. Thank you for joining the May Economic Development and Industrial Corporation of Boston board meeting. At this time, the Boston Planning and Development Agency is continuing to host public meetings in a virtual setting for the health, safety, and accessibility of Boston residents. For more information and updates, visit bostonplans.org. The Open Public Meeting Law requires that I notify the public that this meeting is being recorded. Please be aware that an audio and visual recording of this meeting is being made and broadcast by Boston City TV, which is a part of the City of Boston Office of Cable Communications at Xfinity Channel 24, RCN Channel 13, and Verizon Fios Channel 962. It is also being live streamed at boston.gov/cable. So I will now take a roll call of the members to begin this meeting. Ms. Downs.
Present.
Mr. Monahan.
Present.
Dr. Landsmark.
Present.
Mr. Miller.
Present.
And I, Priscilla Rojas, am present. Okay. So, item number 1, request authorization for the approval of the minutes of the April 14th, 2022 meeting. A motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 2, request authorization to amend the lease agreement with New Singular Wireless PCS LLC to allow the installation of a gas-powered generator to be used as a backup power source on the roof of 12 Channel Street within the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park. Maureen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the board. AT&T is a wireless communication network operator where cells are used for the transmission of voice, data, and other types of content. The roof of 12 Channel Street has been a fixed location for AT&T since 2015, where AT&T was allowed to install up to 12 antennae in a single radio equipment shelter. The lease is for 10 years and commenced on November 16, 2015, and will expire on May 31st, 2026. The lease offers 3 additional 5-year option terms, the last of which will expire on May 31st, 2041. AT&T currently pays fixed rent in the amount of $4,289.31 per month with 3% annual escalations. In May 2021, AT&T approached BPDA staff to negotiate the installation of 1 gas-powered generator to serve as emergency power for AT&T's antenna and radio equipment. In addition to the fixed rent that AT&T currently pays, AT&T has agreed to pay an additional $962.50 per month for the addition of the generator. With the addition of the generator, BPDA will receive approximately $724,219 through the lease expiration of May 31st, 2041. Fixed rent will continue to escalate annually by 3%. Staff is recommending that the director be authorized to execute an amendment with AT&T to allow the installation of the gas-powered generator. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, the motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 3, request authorization to amend the license agreement with Mass Bay Brewing Company Incorporated to add approximately 2,700 square feet on a portion of parcel, sorry, my printer, which parcel is that?
The new parcel is S2.
Parcel S2. Sorry, I need a new toner. And remove approximately 27,457 feet on parcel S3 to operate as an outdoor hospitality space within the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park. Maureen.
Thank you. Mass Bay Brewing Company, Harpoon, is an existing tenant of the BPDA. Since 1987, Harpoon has been located at 306 Northern Ave. Harpoon is well known for its festivals and seasonal events, including St. Patty's Day and Oktoberfest. Since March 12, 2020, the BPA board has approved a license agreement to temporarily change the permitted use of parcel S3 into an outdoor hospitality space. The current license term commenced on January 1st, 2022, and will expire on December 31st, 2022. Fixed rent continues to be calculated at 12.5% of all gross revenue collected from activities on parcel S3. Currently, Harpoon is requesting a temporary relocation of the hospitality space from parcel S3 to a portion of parcel S2, which is directly adjacent to the Harpoon building. BPDA staff recommends that the director be authorized to amend the license agreement to relocate the hospitality space from parcel S3 to the portion of parcel S2 for the calendar year 2022. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Item number 4, request authorization to enter into a license agreement with Unified Abatement Services LLC for the temporary use of a small portion of Pier 5 for the staging of 2 construction trailers within the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park. Maureen.
Thank you. BPDA owns dry dock number 4 located in the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park. It's located at 300 Northern Ave and has an adjacent land area on Pier 5 consisting of approximately 1,688 square feet. Unified Abatement Services is based in Woburn and specializes in environmental services, including asbestos abatement, PCB removal, and disposal. In April 2022, Unified approached the BPDA in search of truck staging in the seaport for the Boston area projects. Unified has requested to stage 2 construction trailers on a small portion of the Pier 5. BPDA is proposing a 1-year license term commencing June 1st, 2022 and expiring on May 31st, 2023, with 2 6-month extension options. Unified has agreed to pay fixed rent in the amount of $1,500 per month. During the 1-year license term, the BPDA will receive $18,000. BPDA staff recommends the director be authorized to enter into a license agreement with Unified Abatement Services. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Item number 5, request authorization to enter into architecture and engineering services contracts with 19 firms for House Doctor Architectural and Engineering Services on an as-needed basis for EDIC-owned properties for 3 years in the amount not to exceed $250,000 per year. William.
Good evening again, Madam Chair, members of the board. This item is the same presentation as item number 7 of the BRA agenda. I did want to say thank you to Michelle for answering Dr. Landsmark's question, and if there are any other questions, I can try to take those at this time.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes.
Thank you. Good evening.
Item number 6, request authorization to enter into a contract with Presidio for the purchase of new Cisco switches for 43 Hawkins Street and 22 Palmer Street in an amount not to exceed $70,267.28. Michael.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I don't really have any additional information to add, but I'm certainly happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Go get those switches. All right, item number 7, request authorization to enter into a contract with Carasoft Technology Corp. For the purchase of Zoom licenses in an amount not to exceed $61,515. Mike?
Thank you. Again, Madam Chair, nothing really extra to add, but happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Item number 8, request authorization to disperse $89,500 of professional development funds to Babson College for the Be Agile Real Estate Finance and Negotiation course and to take all related actions. Heather.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I wish I could follow Mike's lead, but I think I need to just give you a few more bits of information. This is encouraging professional development and furthering educational training for BRA staff, BPDA staff, excuse me. So we're looking to partner with Babson College to offer this real estate finance and negotiation course. We're looking to offer it in the fall, and it will include 12 hours of instruction covering basic financial structures of a real estate development project from inception to completion. We're anticipating being able to offer to at least 25 staff in person with the potential of doing some virtual options as well. And the votes this evening would just simply allow us to enter into an agreement with Babson and disperse the funds when appropriate.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
We'll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Lansmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Heather. Item number 9, approval of the appointment of James Arthur Jemison as the Director of the Economic Development and Industrial Corporation of Boston. Heather?
Thank you again, Madam Chair. This is an identical vote to that which was presented on the BRA agenda. It is approval of the appointment of James Arthur Jemison as Agency Director effective May 23rd, 2022. This appointment is unique from previous director appointments in that it will reflect a non-compensated position within the BPDA and a dual appointment with the City of Boston, and all of the same provisions that I mentioned before apply here as well.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Lansmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. And finally, personnel. Heather?
Thank you again. We have quite a few items for your consideration on EDIC agenda. 9 appointments. Caitlin Villar, Assistant Record Specialist in the Research Department, effective May 16th. Delaney Morris, Planner 1, Resilience and Waterfront Planning in the Planning Department, effective May 16th. Natalie Jean, Deputy Director of Special Projects and Budget Management in OWD, effective May 23rd. Jonathan Arroyo, Crew Leader in OWD, effective May 23rd. Richard Sheriff, Crew Leader in OWD, effective May 23rd. Muhad Muhammad, Project Manager in OWD, effective May 23rd. Tasha Christopher, Program Operations and Database Specialist in OWD, effective May 23rd. Astrid Walker Stewart, Planner 1, Downtown Neighborhood Planning in the Planning Department, effective June 13th. Mary Kate Murphy, Special Projects Coordinator in OWD, effective June 21st. We have 5 employment service contracts for your consideration. Zachary Gagney in the Director's Office, Jamal Crawford in the Office of DEI, Mark Bemis in the Office of Workforce Development, Michaela Menahi in OWD, and Catherine Ward in OWD. 4 co-op interns for your consideration. Catherine Latoff, Sustainable Development Co-op in the Planning Department. Lionel Bean, Development Review Co-op in the Development Review Department. Michaela Stretch, Downtown Neighborhood Planning Intern in the Planning Department. And Will Visco, Smart Utilities Co-op in the Planning Department. 3 status changes for your consideration. Ronald Barron, Fiscal Analyst in the Budget and Finance Department. Ming Shen Kang, Research Associate in the Research Department. Nisha McDonald, Planning Assistant in the Planning Department. 2 travel requests for your consideration. Jessica Mayer, GIS Analyst in the MIS Department, and John Cowart, 3D Data Analyst in the MIS Department. And a 1 policy and procedure request relating to the appointment of an acting director for the Signature Authority. And lastly, 3 departures. Jing Chen, Senior Research Associate and Data Manager in the Research Department. Edward Carmody, Senior Institutional Planner and Project Manager in the Development Review Department. And Ori Eldridge, Human Resources Generalist 2 in the HR Department. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Lansmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Heather. Okay, and that concludes the EDIC agenda. So I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I move we adjourn the EDIC meeting.
I will second that, and I would just add one other note, which is that senior leadership transitions in agencies of this size and scope are not always easy. And I just want to acknowledge and recognize the work that was done by our board secretary, Teresa Polimas, who has served as acting director during this time. She's been terrific, and we've been very dependent on her, and she's just done outstanding work, and I think that needs to be recognized.
I agree. We'll do a little clap for that too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Second that, and I accept your second as a motion to adjourn the meeting. So I'll take a roll call for a vote on that. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Lansmark?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all, and we'll see you next month.
Good night, everybody.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks.